Good morning, everyone. I've just arrived from England, and I hadn't realised before 10:30 I was going to become a bodhisattva and have a group orgasm. So that's a pretty good start. As Maurizio, and thank you to Maurizio and Zaira and everyone for welcoming me so much into the Sand family. It's been a wonderful experience this year, beginning in Italy and now here, to share these momentous times with you. And I love that the title of the theme of our conference is the Emergent Universe, because that's certainly what I'm hoping to share when I do my presentation tomorrow. I've come the scenic route, more than just a flight over from England. I grew up the daughter of a coal miner in the north of England. And for a coal miner's daughter, it was quite unusual, I guess, that from the age of 4 years old, I had discarnate beings coming to visit and having conversations and walking between worlds. So from that age of 4, I was experiencing our universe as emerging from a vast, multidimensional field of consciousness, and realizing that consciousness isn't something we have, it's what we in the whole world are, at many, many different levels of self-awareness. So that was my experiences from the age of 4. It was pretty difficult to ground myself, but as a coal miner's daughter, I probably had the best chance of doing that. But I also started looking up at the stars, because in addition to the multidimensionality I was experiencing, I wanted to understand how this realm, our universe, it did emerge out of these vastness and incredible other realms that I was experiencing and communicating with and learning from. So that's got me on the road to being trained as a scientist, and I went to Oxford University and did a master's degree in physics. And Maurizio still asks me, well, how does physics and archaeology come together? Well, curiosity. Because what I wanted to understand from the master's degree, which I specialized in quantum physics and cosmology, was I wanted to understand the nature of reality itself. Not just how the laws of physics work, but how they then were so exquisite and fine-tuned and as simple but no simpler. How did this incredible diversity over 13.8 billion years emerge and evolve and gain ever greater level of self-awareness? So that's why I did the master's in science, but it was always the cosmology, it was always the curiosity to know the complete nature of reality. And then I went another scenic route. I became a senior businesswoman and enjoyed that bit of materialistic reductionism for a few years. But the reason I did the doctorate in archaeology was I'd always studied ancient wisdom and honored ancient wisdom. Ancient Egypt, ancient India, ancient China. The deep, intuitive and deep wisdom that our forebears, the mystics, the sages, the sacred scientists of old understood. And so the archaeology PhD was actually in understanding how our ancestors understood themselves and the whole world. And although I'm very fortunate to live near Avebury and Stonehenge in the UK, which again embodies their cosmology, their understanding of the profound interconnectedness of all we call physical reality, it was a deeper dive than that, because the attunements I was having, the discarnate communications I was having, gave me further insights into their deep wisdom, and then how they created the monuments that adorn not just my beloved home country, but around the world. So that was the sort of where cosmology sort of fitted, the leading edge and the ancient wisdom. And I never saw a disparity between the two. What I saw was a different language. And I also saw a bit of a sidetrack over the last couple of centuries when science, which was sacred science, and for all good reasons, chose and was, to be honest, forced to look into just the physical realm, and almost a schism between that wholeness, which is what cosmology is all about, and the literal physics of the physical realm. And we've gone down that route, and it's a route that's brought us amazing technologies, but it's a route in a way that's also dismembered our collective psyche. And I feel now we're on the verge of remembering who we really are. And I'm very excited because as somebody who's by nature curious, I wanted to write the latest book, The Cosmic Hologram, that's just come out. I wanted to write that book 60 years ago, because what it's sharing is how I have experienced realities all my life. But I couldn't write it till now because the evidence wasn't there until now. So over the last few years, I've dived really deeply into what is coming forward, not just in physics, but in biology, in complex systems, in chemistry, in the study of our social behaviors, literally across many, many different fields of research and all scales of existence, and going from the most minute pixelation of physical reality, the Planck scale, to the whole universe. And what's coming forward, I think, and I probably should get out more, but I think is wonderful. Because what it's doing is it truly is able now to reconcile with ancient wisdom and able to fully reconcile with universal spiritual experiences, to reveal from a scientific language that melds with those, to share and to reveal that the appearance of physical world, the duality-based appearance, and the materialistic reductionism that science has trod for so long is not an illusion. Reality is real, but what is an illusion is separation. Unity, unified reality, diversifies itself in the most incredible ways in the physical realm from the most simple of instructions. But what is key, and I think going back to what Robert was saying, the separation, the world of separation that we seem to inhabit is a world of illusion in that regard. And what the science is showing is what the ancient spiritual awareness has always been, that all that we call reality is intimately, fundamentally, innately interconnected. But more than that, it's not just that I look into your eye and I see a spirit, a soul looking back on me that I know is a sister, a soul sister. It's truly revealing that the deepest nature of reality is indeed unified. I was talking with some extraterrestrial pals the other day, as you do. And we were asking a question, and some of my dear friends are here, and we were on that call. And the question was, many planetary systems must get to this point where a so-called dominant species has the ability to destroy itself and the planet. And what happens at that pinch point? And the words that came back to me were immediate. And what I was told was that we came to understand and experience and embody unity awareness. But it's not the unity of the homogeneity. It's not the unity of the grey gloop where we lose ourselves and become all one. Yes, but it's a unity expressed in diversity. It's a unity expressed in a diversity so that we can come to value the unique me-ness, me, all of us, what we bring. Nobody has ever walked our journey before us. From the beginning of our universe, 13.8 billion years ago, no one has had the experience that each of us are having. And we together, the diversity, the diverse genius of we together, can come together from that understanding and experiencing and embodying of that unity awareness. So instead of falling into the fear of the appearance of separation, I feel we're on the threshold, the verge of an opportunity by understanding how our universe emerges literally as an expression of consciousness. Our entire universe as a finite thought form in the infinity of the cosmos. Us as biocosmic beings, as microcosmic co-creators of our realities. This is what we're on the verge of. This is what we're on the amazing threshold of. And the reason that I can write about this now and offer the evidence is because the 20th century scientific revolution of quantum theory and relativity was incomplete. Not just the sort of slight issue that 96% of the universe seems to be missing because it's dark matter and dark energy. Not that. That can be sorted. what is missing and what was missing was an understanding of the significance of information. And I don't mean raw data. I mean literally pattern, dynamic, relational information and the nature of consciousness itself. And once we get that information, which leading edge science, and I've written about it in the book, across all scales of existence and many, many fields of research, are indeed showing not just that physical reality is incredibly ephemeral. You know, when we drill down to subatomic entities, we get to 99.99999999999% no thingness, and what's left are mere excitations of force fields. But what we also now know is that information is as physically real as anything we call physical, more fundamental than energy matter, more primordial than space and time, expressed in complementary ways as those, quantized as energy matter, perfect. I wish I'd thought of it, because it's just amazing. It literally is as simple as it can be, but no simpler. But from that innate simplicity, all the amazing diversity of our universe and its ability to exist and evolve as a coherent, unified entity is there. So restating the laws of physics as laws of information, algorithms of information, exactly the same digitized information that forms the basis of all our technologies. Yeah, our virtual realities, our holograms, they're kids' toys, for which reality is the masterclass. We're now discovering that. And when we do so, and when we restate the laws of physics as algorithms, instructions that enable our universe to exist and evolve, voila, we have an emergent universe, emerging from deeper, informational, intentional, dynamic possibilities, meaningful, purposeful. What we're finding, for example, when we look at the signature of the cosmic hologram across many scales of existence and across not just the natural world, but the man-made world, we get the same patterns. The patterns that connect all the nodes in the internet are exactly the same as those that connect informationally ecosystems. But the one that really got my aha was to realize that when people study earthquakes, they've discovered there's no such thing as a typical earthquake, which is why it's so difficult to predict them. Instead, when people look at many, many, many earthquakes across many scales, what they find is a very simple relationship. The destructive power of earthquakes, if we plot it on a graph, against the frequency of earthquakes, forms a straight line. The simplest relationship showing that an earthquake of twice the destructive power is 4 times as less likely to happen. That's it. That's the relationship. But just after the Second World War, a researcher called Lewis Richardson looked at hundreds of conflicts, human conflicts, and he plotted them. And he plotted them on a graph. And he looked at the destructive power of human conflicts in terms of the number of fatalities, and then along that axis, the frequency. Whether it was the World War, whether there were hissy fits, whether there were regional problems, and he found exactly the same relationship between the frequency and the destructive power of human conflicts, exactly the same as for earthquakes. Now, both of those, and all we call the emergent universe, the informational, holographically manifest universe, comes from deeper, non-physicalized realms of possibility, of potentiality, and something called attractors. So what you have underlying a complex system, whether it's Gaia, whether it's our collective psyche, are called attractors. And you may know something called the Lorentz attractor, which is shaped like a butterfly, which actually underbeds Earth's, Gaia's weather systems, which comes, you know, this idea that butterflies' wings in Brazil can create a hurricane. Because these are non-linear. These are non-linear, so a tiny cause can have a major effect. But whether it's earthquakes or whether it's human conflicts, they arise, for all the reasons they do, from deeper attractors of informational awareness. Now, the point is, and this is really key, that doesn't mean that conflicts are inevitable. It just means that within our collective psyche, our collective perspective is this myth of separation. So that myth of separation, amongst many other behavioral patterns, has co-created an attractor basin that predisposes us through that perception of separation, those fear-based arisings from that. Our beliefs drive our behaviors. If we believe we're separate, we'll behave as if we're separate. If we have a collective dis-ease, which is our fragmented perspective of the nature of reality, we will behave from that perspective. So the attractor basins that play out the fear-based behaviors come from that collective perspective. But we can also co-create attractors of peace, attractors of love. And what happens when a complex system is at a point of unsustainability, which I love what Robert had to say, I think ours probably is, it starts to break down. The whole attractor boundaries start to fall away, to dissolve, to break down, and it can break down into chaos. But in consciousness, and this is part of biological emergence, but it's also integral to conscious evolution, another attractor begins to crystallize, to potentialize, to strengthen, to be empowered at a higher level of coherence. And for coherence, read love. And so where we are now is we've got the breaking down of the old paradigm, the old attractor, the old perspective of the illusion of separation and duality. And what's forming here is a higher coherent attractor. And what happens, and again, this is true in biology, it's true in conscious evolution, there's what's called a flickering. And I know this flickering really well, because some years ago, I decided to give up chocolate biscuits. Tell you, hard. So my old attractor was going chocolate biscuits. My new one was going, not so many, not so many. So I was flickering into that and then falling back into that. But that's essentially, on a rather more serious basis, what we're doing. We're flickering into this potentiality of coherence, of love. And then, we might have a bad day or something comes on the news and we come back down into the old paradigm. But the new is strengthening. The new, because it's singing a better song than the old. It has more life than the old. The old is in a death spiral, and let's honor it and let it fall away. And let's answer the call to the new coherence, the new attractor of conscious evolution. So this is all part of an emergent universe, because what this is all showing us is there is no duality, that reality is unified and diverse and differentiated, that literally mind is matter, matter is mind, and consciousness isn't something we have, it's what we and the whole world are. So the question to us is, with that understanding, with that emergent understanding, with the evidence, no longer to hope or to have faith or to whatever, but realize that the evidence is in. And so now, what? It's not what if, it's what now. And my sense is it's time for us to come together, to hold hands, to answer that call in whatever way our hearts call to us, but to realize that the universe has got our back, that the multidimensional realities that are part of all of this impulse, as part of this big breath. The universe didn't begin in a big bang. It wasn't big, it wasn't a bang, but it began 13.8 billion years ago with the most exquisite out-breath of possibility. We are part of that out-breath. We are microcosmic co-creators, biocosmic beings with a meaning and a purpose at this moment on our beloved Gaia. And it's an amazing moment, and I'm just absolutely delighted, thrilled, honoured to have enjoyed a group orgasm with you this morning and to share with you some more of this tomorrow and to be around for a couple of days and hug a lot of you, hug as many of you as I can manage. So thank you. Thank you all.